It's a Bitcoin podcast. The only one that's making your money is you. So hold on.
Hold on.
Listen to the Bitcoin podcast. Bitcoin podcast.
It's beatboxing.
That's right. Who's hitting it with a beatbox? I like it. I like it.
Oh man.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Bitcoin podcast. If you didn't know, Jessie, Corey, and I actually sang that song.
And Gibbs.
And
We taught Gibbs how to sing that song.
Yep.
Damn.
He's like, "How are you guys harmonizing so well?" And we said, "Well, have a seat, Gibbs. We're gonna show you how it's done here." Corey hit him with a beatbox, and then it was all downhill from there.
That was Jessie beatboxing, not me.
That was you beatboxing, Jesse?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, bro. Hit him with the beats.
I needed
Sick.
a little percussive
Mega.
element.
Mega beat smasher. Anyways, welcome to the Bitcoin podcast, you guys. I'm the host that talks first.
I am another host, Dr. Corey Petty.
And I'm the third host with the minion in the background, Jessie Broke.
He's hiding.
Mhm.
Minion is hiding under pillows and blankets.
Petty, do your best minion impersonation.
I don't even know what they sound like.
Jesse, you do your best minion impersonation.
I wouldn't be the
I
first.
literally don't know the sounds that come out of their mouth.
They say like banana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, banana.
Oh, banana. That's another time. Anyways, sorry to be focused now. Oh yeah. So today we're talking about our favorite topic to talk about at the Bitcoin podcast, and that is Coinbase.
Coinbase.
Yeah, man. A future crypto here with us. Anyways, I don't want to alienate the audience. So Coinbase is making big moves. They're going public. By the time you have heard this, some of you late listeners, you know who you are. We release an episode, 7-8 days goes by. You're like, oh yeah, Bitcoin podcast did something. Oh, listen to them. Yeah, we know who you are. By the time you get to listen to this, Coinbase will have gone public as a company. So yay them.
I was on Twitter today because that's where I spend most of my social media time. I forgot who it was, but it was like just sitting here thinking about those 60 Coinbase employees that left because they weren't woke enough.
You gotta be more woke if you fucking with Coinbase. All I gotta say, Corey, is one, this is not one of the most, this isn't a Negrodamus call. This isn't one of my crazier calls. But anyone who's has a thinking brain would have seen this coming, right? They've basically been putting these yellow bricks on this road towards going public for, 6 years.
If you had to name a company that was deeply rooted in the cryptocurrency industry that was going to go public and it wasn't Coinbase, then I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah. But essentially, yeah. So they're going public. They're valid currently. I think they're going to be valued at 100 bill, and then it'll drop down to 70 bill, and then they'll shoot up to 500 bill in the next 5 years. Somebody
That
doing
was
your
No, it was not.
Yes. No, that was the dinger to say you're right. It was a ding, 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 ding.
Really? We have that? Nice.
No, that was the laundry went off.
Oh.
I am in the basement. I live in the basement.
Damn, I thought that was a thing. I thought we got the soundboard up and running. Nevertheless,
Crazy
so
how far they came. They were evaluated at was it like 5 billion or 3 billion? 5 billion? Just like 2018?
mhm.
And yeah, and then they were supposed to be evaluated at like 70 billion, but like now it's looking like 100 billion.
Well, they did. They released their quarterly reports just this last quarter. They've done more profit this quarter than they did all last year.
Mm-hmm. It's like
Yeah.
1.9 billion or something like that. Forget.
Let's think about how deep their pockets go. Like, just let's start peeling the rabbit hole. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's do it. Bitcoin forks. Who's getting all that money? Because
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
I know they're not giving it
Originally, they were. So like I got most of the BCH that I have, the Bitcoin Cash, came from Coinbase giving it to me. For the longest time, they didn't give anything out, and then they started giving the more popular ones that they decided to carry, or at least they gave you an option to get it out, but you couldn't trade it. And now, since they drastically expanded the amount of coins you can invest in on Coinbase, I'm pretty sure they give out a good portion of them. Like, granted, like I didn't get like BSV or Bitcoin Gold or a lot of the other coins that didn't really make a difference.
Yeah, they're just not giving it to people, and they have it.
Well, I don't know what they're doing with it.
Exactly. What are they going to do? They're going to. I know what they're going to do, Corey. I can think like some of those guys nowadays. They're going to hold on to that shit long enough until nobody cares, and then they're going to start. and then they're going to start using it.
Does that mean that like it's worth something?
It's definitely worth something. It's
If
definitely
anyone's
worth
going to follow legal regulation, it's going to be Coinbase.
Yeah,
So like they're
gonna
gonna do what they need to do to do it legally in terms of, I guess, ownership of like I don't know what the regulations are here for like being a custodian, because most of the things that I deal with are, proselytize are all non-custodial solutions.
Yeah. I think that they're gonna wait long enough until nobody cares. Then they're gonna build a legal structure, or that's why they just got these lobbyists, by the way. Them, Gemini, and one more person, Kraken. I think they just started getting these lobbyists. They're gonna create some laws, and they're gonna finesse all that airdrop and all that fork money right out underneath all their users, and they're just gonna have a big ass giant pile of money, crypto money, and they're just gonna love it. Like, think about the airdrops. Think about how much airdrop money they have.
That's the fees associated with like trying to process all of those different airdrops. It's hard to imagine that's worth more than just doing good business. Like, they're making so much money just off people using their services. It's the amount of money they're getting from like random airdrops and people's things is probably insignificant.
I didn't even go to that. I didn't go to the actual legitimate money that they're making. I was just talking about.
Well, that depends, right? Okay, so they're making money off their cold wallet because that's probably on chain. But a lot of the stuff, like the hot wallet, I guess it has to be on chain. But a good portion of the funds, it's hard to know because they're a custodial solution. There's no reason for them to use the chain until they have to. So all of those tokens live somewhere on chain if they are solvent. If they're completely solvent, which I believe them to be, then I don't know how they distribute that kind of thing. Like, that's a very hard problem to solve, or even if they plan on doing it or whatever, right? Because like realistically speaking, none of the money or most of the money that they hold isn't theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That's like a new money. That's like a new bank, right? They're paving the way for crypto banks.
They are
like standards on how to handle people's money, especially when it comes to things like airdrops.
I got a question.
The crypto bank. Shoot.
How come wire fraud and wash trading are fined differently? What metrics are used by the SEC in order to? Yeah, no, I'm just curious. Like, because Coinbase got pinged
Corey, you didn't get the email,
6 million,
bro,
right?
Quiz.
For wash trading, right? 6
Yeah.
million is how much the SEC fined them, and they paid it, no problem. And then if you look at Arthur Hayes, and you look at a few other people who also engage in wash trading, and they're going to pay way more than 6 million, probably, right? So, like, what metrics guide the penalties that they are having to pay up that are kind of like that they're doing some kind of like they're making mistakes in terms of mismanaging people's monies. But in terms of like quantifying like how much is this going to cost if we move the price such that we wipe out everybody who's long and short and we profit from that. Like what is the cost of that?
$6 million.
I would imagine it to be relative to the amount they can prove it was what was done.
I think that Corey needs to put his noise reducer on again, and I also think that it sounds like there is a 747 over my shoulder, tapping on my shoulder. I think that Coinbase can more than afford these kind of like petty fines that they're getting for wash trading. I know to answer your question, the metric actually, Jesse, is dollars per lawyer. And that is what decides how much people get fined. So if Arthur Hayes has enough dollars and can divide that by the amount of lawyers that Coinbase has, they could probably get an equivalent fine.
I was gonna say because like they do a lot of volume. 6 million does not seem large enough of a fine for them.
Well, banks don't get fined proportional to how much they're worth and the damage that they do. That's the beauty of being a bank. Is you can do dirt and nobody. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, all these super big banks that like JP Morgan, all of them, every single year they get caught money laundering for like pretty shady ass people, and the governments are like, yeah, we're gonna, you know what? You're gonna have to buy everyone a pack of Fruit Stripes gum, you bad bank, you, and and nobody even cares at all. Nobody cares. So these large banks are laundering money and wash trade. They're doing all of the bad things and just not getting caught or not caring if they do get caught because the fine is a slap on the wrist. You know, all of the bankers that almost totally collapsed the global economy in 2008, the U.S. bankers, nothing happened to them. Nothing happened to them. What is going on with you guys?
Whoa,
Sounds. What's going on?
Oh no. Don't talk.
Oh no.
Don't talk.
Hold up. We're having technical difficulties.
It's like somebody blew in your ear every time you talk.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So I think you're right. You're onto something, right? It's like how many lawyers you have, how deeply entrenched you are in the traditional financial infrastructure of like if you're the bank.
It's the US, bro.
That's kind of weird though. Huh? I don't know.
Let's try to guess why Coinbase is going public though, because they make enough money. Why go public? HEB, the biggest grocer in Texas, is not a public company. They make enough money. They're like, I don't care.
It's a risk move.
Boom, my man Jessie, this smart use.
Oh, I'm so dumb, but I'll go along with you. Yeah.
So they're distributing risk, and there's probably a large probability that some of the original investors have already bounced. Right? They saw their end of the cap table. And they were like, I've made my money. I've made billions of dollars. I'm out.
Yep.
I'm done. So when that gets pulled out, what are they going to do? They're going to go public, get some money, distribute the risk, it's
a good play.
By the way, Corey, I hope in your next meeting at Status, when you guys are talking about risk, you say, let's go ahead and distribute the risk. Just peanut butter spread that risk, baby. Sorry. I get excited about spreading the risk. So what are the long-term? So there's got to be some long-term implications of Coinbase going public. It legitimizes the market, right? What about taxation? This is something I was trying to think about the other day. Like, if you legitimately, all these companies are now taking Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be a quick, not downhill, but a very quick rocket shot to buying Teslas with Bitcoin to buying Snickers bars with Bitcoin. What is this?
Using your Fibonacci tool, what is your position with the quote rising wedge or quote symmetrical triangle and the quote descending channel of Ariana Grande? Long momentum to bounce to the upside / backside.
Who is that? That is
Who
perfect.
is that?
Who
Who is
are
that
you,
in Slack?
sir? That's not even in Slack. That's on YouTube. That is a great question. Damn, Corey, what is going on with your sound?
Don't talk.
You might need to reboot.
Joe
Sell
has
the
an
bag
idea.
to retail. So Joe says they're trying to sell that bag to retail, which does make sense, right? You get a big old bag, and all of a sudden you can like, hey man, you know, it does. That works with almost everything. Like, man, I just bought this pancake mix. I can make pancakes for a penny a pancake. Huh?
So what's next? Who the people who sold the bag, right, for Coinbase, who are the early investors? Where are they moving their money to now? I wonder. You know any of those people personally? Indirectly?
I actually personally
Anecdotally?
know Nas, the rapper, who
Okay.
is an angel investor of Coinbase.
So
And
what is he doing?
Nas said, I needed this money to make another album. And I said, Nas, I don't think that's a good play, bro. I feel like you only had one good album. It was the Illmatic. Everyone knows this. You pretty much are done after that one album. You don't have to make anymore. He's like, no, bro, I need to do this for my family.
Okay.
So I said, all right, Nas, do what you got to do. That's the only person I know personally that is invested in Coinbase.
Okay.
So, well, okay, audience, I don't know Nas, but I do know that he was an angel investor in Coinbase. I do know that. So, the implications for the market is that now that there is a stamp, this is some huge stuff happening this year. So Coinbase is going public. Boom, we got that. They're going to find a way to make it easy for the consumer to purchase small things with Bitcoin, right? Because they're going to have so much in this custodial exchange, they're going to start offering services to the public that people didn't think of, which, by the way, Jessie, are a lot of signs of a bank, right? Where you can have a checking account with your Bitcoin and you can make these purchases, these very, I think I used my debit card 5 times today. You can make these purchases, these small purchases. No, that's not including like automated shit. What's today? 7? No.
Ooh.
Damn.
Nope.
Corey, you need to reboot your system is what you need to do. And then watch
Maybe you
your
could swap
mouth
out the
with
mic for another mic. No? Okay.
So another comment from the audience here. Queensbridge Ventures invested in the Series B of Coinbase, which is a $25 million round. Queensbridge.
So what are they doing now? Let's see.
So it's very interesting. I think those are going to be some of the services that they probably offer to the people, and even like maybe an easy way. And these aren't ideas coming from me. These are ideas coming from my new crypto friends. Like when you become the crypto plug in real life, the people come from everywhere. And right now, I've got some really close friends that are really locked in. They're falling down that rabbit hole, and those have to be the things that are offered. Is that ease of use for the retail, like Joe said. Push that retail up on. I still can't get over that damn comment, bro. Using your Fibonacci tool, what's your position with the rising wedge? That's so bad, but so good. Whoever Why Me is, I don't know who that is. I have an idea, but that's such a good comment. All right, so let me ask you something, Jessie.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you weren't a student, you were working, what percentage of your salary would you accept in Bitcoin?
In Bitcoin, none.
I'll ask it again. What percentage of your salary would you accept in Bitcoin?
Well, I'll say it again. None.
0%.
Yeah,
Why?
because I don't like Bitcoin.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, why don't you like Bitcoin? These are questions people want to know.
Okay, so let's
This
see.
is very ironic, by the way, because audience, if this is your first time listening to the Bitcoin podcast, one of the hosts doesn't like Bitcoin. But go
I
on.
mean, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's a little too pricey for me relative to the dollar. I feel like my dollar can't go very far. No, seriously, like, okay, like, man, it would take me forever to like tell you all the details that make up my decision to not take any percentage of my income in Bitcoin. We are in a bull run. Why would you do that? If anything, take a percentage of your salary during a bear market, right? That makes way more sense, right? I mean, I guess it depends on your time horizons, right? But I feel like right now it's the opportunity for people to maximize their 401k, Roth 401ks, their Roth IRAs, pump that shit up tax free, and then invest in these new ETFs that are going to be coming out that expose you to crypto baskets. That would make the most sense to me financially with my salary, right? Because like the whole point is to get that converted into crypto exposure with like minimal tax losses, right? So, are you muted? Okay, no, you're not muted.
Interesting. So, okay.
Hey, it works. You're back.
God. Okay.
It's a little bit poppy
Whatever.
still. It's a little bit
It's
choppy.
better than blowing in your ear audio, white noise.
I'll be choppy today. I'll figure it out later.
It's all good.
The interesting blurring phenomena happening where the space between your feathered hair and your headphones is clear and not blurry. But the space between my hair and headphones. Corey, I asked
I have
Jessie.
I have a halo of clarity around my head. That's usually it's just the effect of being me.
I like that. I wish that clarity would translate to your microphone. So, anyways, I asked Jessie a question, which he answered very abruptly. I said, Jessie, if you weren't a student right now, you were working, what percentage of your salary would you take in Bitcoin? And he said, none.
Why?
He says it's a stupid move right now. We're in a bull market. There's going to be tax implications down the line. Why would I do that?
So
I'd
here's
rather
what my
take it-
alternative was. I told D maximize your Roth 401k contribution, your Roth IRA contribution, so that you're getting tax-free, essentially exposure to crypto, because that's what you're going to end up doing. You're going to use the ETFs that are coming in the pipeline to get exposure to crypto, unless you want direct exposure. But I would only recommend taking a percentage of your salary during a bear market, not necessarily during a bull market, especially with the tax implications, the tax losses involved.
Well, you lose money based on your part of your salary going down. Then that's negative capital gains tax.
Yeah, wouldn't that be capital losses?
Yeah. Negative capital gains tax. Capital loss, yes.
Negative capital gains. Negative gains.
But I think Daniel was asking, it depends
Not
how far
investment
into the
advice.
bull market we are. Yeah, exactly. It just depends, right? But like if
It depends. Like, I don't know. In my opinion, until you have a really sound option for using crypto regularly, and it's not just an investment, taking a portion that you can afford to a bad idea if it's just going to sit.
I'm muting you, Corey.
the
host that talks seconds, technical expertise is not raining through in this podcast. What's going on, man? We got all these expensive devices. Look at us with all these expensive tools here. Look
Going back to the wind turbine. Sorry, is that better?
Yeah,
that's better. It's fine.
Something about my broadcast software has stopped working since yesterday.
Huh.
That's really strange. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So we're gonna move on. I would do it, Jesse, because I know that like for me, there's a base minimum USD is what I call myself. If I had a metric of life, it would be what's my base minimum USD. And so long as I can live within that base minimum USD, it really doesn't matter what effect my other income and value is coming into my life, I'll be okay. So I most definitely would take a very sizable percentage in Bitcoin. I would take probably half of my paycheck in Bitcoin.
You didn't tell me if I would take a percentage of my paycheck in something other than Bitcoin, though.
Ooh,
Oh,
clever
the Cloud
girl.
Dickens, this guy.
Okay.
We're not sponsored by Bitwage, but we should be Bitwage. We've been repping you for years, Bitwage. Show us some love. I'm want to wear your jersey. Jesse, what crypto would you take your salary in, and what percentage?
No.
I'm not going to answer that question, but I'll definitely not Doge. No.
You're not going to answer that question? Hashtag non-investment advice?
No, I just don't think I don't want any bias of whatever I invest in to like through. Yeah. But I tell you, I just, it's not Bitcoin for sure.
All right, I know what I would be. Shouldn't I? Can I say that? Hashtag non-investment advice?
I don't think you'd want to. I mean, you can, but like, I don't know.
What are you YOLOing? What are you YOLOing into, Jesse? I'm not gonna say. That's probably bad. You're right. It's bad to say. It's bad tact to say. What?
Yeah, like use whatever you think is good for you. But it's like what I was saying before I so rudely got cut off based on my terrible technical difficulties this game is like, I don't know, man. Like make sure you get your bases covered for your life. Then play around with crypto.
Base minimum USD, baby. It's a great metric, bro. It's a great metric. What's my base minimum USD? All right, if I can live within that, then everything else is fun money, baby. I'll invest.
You should be doing that anyway, like regardless of being in crypto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about base minimum USD though is this changes as you get older, and it's more expensive as you get older. So all you youngsters listening right now, the reason why it's more expensive, I don't know, man. I just fucking paid out of the pocket for some spectacles. It cost me $400.
Damn,
you got ripped off. Glasses.
I
don't know anything about glasses. I know they don't cost that much.
I like Nike. Okay. I have Nike frames.
Okay.
So
I get it. Okay.
I wanted my glasses to match my Jordans. Is something wrong with that? Base minimum USD, guys. Base minimum. Anyways, so
when you use the phrase base minimum USD, right? So for me, like I'm a single dude. I leaned out my life early on, right? So when I was working on my own, I was paying basically cost of living like 20,000, right? Plus or minus a few thousand. And then the rest just fucking invest that shit, dump it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much like, I think regardless of whether you're investing your money into crypto or something else, right? I think that's a what's the word or the phrase? That's a baseline standard practice.
Well, it depends on your risk, right?
There's a good rule.
Oh no, like what D is saying, meet your bare minimum for your life. Pay your bills, pay your rent.
That's differentiated between for everybody, right? That's what your responsibilities are financially in your life vary drastically from person to person.
Absolutely.
But once from there, also on top of that is like your risk appetite. So like how much can you afford to not have like a comfort zone? Like can you like in your life based on what your potential is to do in the future? Can you afford high risk investments because you can just work it back off easily in your future? Mm-hmm. Real old people not necessarily can do that. So if they're
absolutely.
Not living in a situation where they have something they can live off of the rest of their life, then high risk investments probably aren't the right thing for you, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. So you're real old and you have kids, fuck it, YOLO, because they'll take care of you. No, I'm kidding. Hashtag not investment advice.
Joe from here we go, YouTube.
Jessie pays less than what one kid's school costs for me. So there you go. So my point has then been served. That the older you get, the more the costs grow, and that's just the way that it works.
Got to minimize those costs. Not, I mean, everybody's different, right? But like, I like cost minimization.
Jesse basically just said, "Don't have no kids. Don't have no kids, baby. You gotta get like me." No. So let's
mutations
move on.
accumulate faster in ovum versus sperm.
What?
What? This what?
What?
Huh?
So like,
This
so
isn't
what
the
I, what
right.
I mean,
You're on the wrong podcast. Jesse.
so women like, right? The
No,
in terms
no,
of,
no.
okay, all right.
Joe said, "I'm gonna sell my kids." So okay, all right. Let's get back to some crypto stuff. So, actually, it's very interesting. Joe brought this up like just today in the Slack or yesterday, and he was like, the crazy thing about developing on Ethereum is you can make something this year that works and is great, but then a new proposal will come along or a new standard will come along, and then all of a sudden what you built sucks. And then, so my question, I guess, to you, Corey, is does that mean developing on Ethereum becomes this like never-ending avalanche of always being expensive? Because if you develop something here in 2021 and it's awesome, but then a new standard comes out in 2023 that makes your awesome not awesome, but then I guess at the same time, that's just software development, period. Like I feel like it's a never-ending hole of expenses as you're trying to stay current with whatever language, whatever. Joe, you keep distracting me. It's good though. I like it. Whatever language is current, whatever technology is current. I almost feel like it's almost not apples to apples, but 1-to-1 on how much it would cost to develop in crypto versus developing in, I don't know, Web 2.0, regular web. It's not 1-to-1.
No. And that depends on how you build and what you build, right? And in a lot of cases, you can build something that's incredibly useful, and then the bucket gets filled up. And what I mean by that when I say it is like the capacity of that particular network gets filled up, and you start getting congestion. The capacity.
The capacity. Sorry.
And
I'm not sorry. It's funny.
And because of that, you start getting like congestion effects, those typically lead to higher fees if you're vying for some scarce resource. And because of that, you may be your whole application may be worthless or like not useful because what you would be considered like the atomic transaction is like the base unit or the base amount someone is willing to use your application for. Say you're doing things that do a lot of microtransactions. Well, when there's a lot of high fees, no one's going to be doing microtransactions. So like in that sense, like what?
Why was Top Shot up there?
I don't know. I didn't put that there.
I didn't do higher microtransactions. No,
they don't do that.
But and then like what Joe's getting to for this is what happened was they're changing the way gas is calculated at like a protocol level, and what happens to transaction gas, and basically the incentives along with the miners do, which in some cases hurts some applications based on what they're doing. Right? Some applications are built based on the activity they know that's going to happen in the mempool and how people fight for transactions. But on the broader scale, it makes it incredibly difficult for applications like wallets and people building things that need to estimate how much gas it's going to be to do any type of business. So what happened was Ethereum made a choice to make it more easily calculated what gas for a given transaction is going to be, as well as take out some of the incentives miners are playing for optimizing their own profits at the cost of others, in my opinion.
Can I ask
you? Hold on a sec. And because of that, it's going to hurt some people's bottom line. And so, like you asked, like, how do you build on something like that? The answer is you be adaptive. You don't. Which is harder on a blockchain because upgrading smart contracts is incredibly difficult. Mm-hmm. But like, sorry, like the way these networks work is that they're going to probably try, especially like Ethereum, it's going to try to optimize what's best for the whole system, and not something that's taking advantage of the system.
Mhm.
So if you're not in line with that, you're probably going to get like things are probably not going to go your way.
Mhm. I see. So more expensive.
So my question was
No,
burn
maybe.
fees. Are you in favor or not in favor of
It depends.
fees
It
being
depends,
burned?
right?
Well,
Like
because
we did a lot of calculations on this at Status about whether it's more economically viable or like beneficial to burn fees versus pool those fees and then reallocate them to better the development of the ecosystem.
yeah. So what was the conclusion?
The conclusion comes down to how well you can analyze what the benefit of a given project is going to be. So like if you can do like a NPV calculation, net profit value, like some of these economic calculations of what a potential project's impact could have on economics, then you can start to make those decisions a little better. But there is a threshold there where like sometimes burning raises the tide for everybody because it's more scarce, right? And if there aren't any what's called a sink, basically a place for Ethereum to go and never come out, and you only have sources where Ethereum is minted, which is the blockchain, every block, then you have an inflationary currency and no place for it to go and sit and go away. And so in some cases, it's really beneficial to have a place where Ethereum goes away and never comes back.
So what about burn
which
rate?
makes it more scarce? That depends. Like I don't have the answer. I think that what Ethereum has tried to do is have an inflation rate that is enough to meet the security needs of the ecosystem. And that is that's a moving target because the popularity, value, and whatever built on top of Ethereum is a changing target.
But a sink is necessary.
I think that you need sinks, in my opinion. You need places for an asset to go. It's not necessary. It depends on what you're trying to do, right? Like if you have a fixed capped asset, I mean, you only have like a certain amount of tokens in a given pool, and those never change.
Yeah.
Then anytime you burn something, it's going to have a lifetime impact on the scarcity of that asset. And if you keep burning, if you continue to burn, then you may get to a point where you can't distribute that token in a way that's necessary for the economics of that system.
So that's that's at the core of my question, Corey. It's if you want to make a blockchain like really expensive in terms of whoever joins this blockchain first and accumulates a decent chunk early on, in order to make that token rise in value fast, it appears to me you would have a high burn rate, and you would have a cap, a circulation cap. But if you it seems more, I guess, less capitalistic to just have one or the other, not necessarily both. Both seems kind of greedy, in my opinion.
Well, I think these things, like you can have an application built on top of Ethereum that burns Ethereum. It has nothing to do with anybody's decision. It's just an application you built, and if you can convince people to use it for some reason or another, then that's Ethereum gone, or whatever asset gone. So what's nice about these systems is that people can build them if they want to. If they feel there needs to be more sinks, places for Ethereum to go and never come back, and they feel there's a community that feels the same way, they can build it and people will use it. And there's nothing people can do about it. You can do the same thing with Bitcoin. It's like the economics around how the protocol does things is a really complicated subject, and I don't think there's a right answer. It's about figuring out what you want the token to represent and how to maximally create a scarce token with inflation and deflation mechanisms that meet that need. And since like something as broad and open as Ethereum is trying to serve the needs and requirements of many, many different types of people, deciding what those rates are is like incredibly complex.
Yeah. I think that I used to think that it was bad for crypto, and I don't even know if this segue works or not, but fuck it. I used to think it was bad for crypto that like money and the thought of having a lot of money was the only draw to bringing people into the space. I was like, man, if that's all there ever is right, because right now we've had two crazes that kind of hit at the same time. DeFi, which is leaking out to the mass public. Like, wait a second, you're telling me I could turn my dollars into digital dollars, and then I get more digital dollars? Like, yeah, it's pretty much like that. I mean, that's a simple way of explaining it, but yes. And then you go to NFTs where it's like, wait a second, you're telling me this thumbnail I made on PowerPoint could sell for thousands of dollars? You're like, maybe.
Top
Like,
shot.
give
Top shot.
it a shot. Give it a shot. Like Top Shot. Like the NBA is taking all this footage they already had and they're throwing nothing on it pretty much and having people buy footage they've already seen. Like I don't understand it at all. Like, why are you buying that 3-pointer from Jordan in the 90s? You've seen it like 3 million times. Why are
Because you know it's unique.
Is it? Is you like?
I hope so.
I don't
Well,
get
if
it
Top
at
Shots
all.
is doing what they say they're doing, it's unique.
But I've seen that clip so many times. But I guess because
But
I
do you own it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
and like, what are trading cards? The trading cards are the canonical example of what NFTs are.
But
Why do people buy trading cards?
I bought trading cards because of the art, and that was
Okay.
X-Men
Oh,
cards.
really?
And I love them. 95 Flare. I bought them because of the. Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, I bought them because of the art, and NFTs and art, and you get it. But nevertheless,
I think like look at culture. So culture drives the early adoption, right? But then later on, people get older and then they change. But the people who remain in those systems, like let's take Pokemon cards for example. The only people who are trading Pokemon cards are not necessarily the kids from the 90s. They're the people who are like monetizing the exchange of rare cards, not necessarily because they're nostalgic about them, but just because that there's a market for something that's rare. So it becomes like more capitalistic, less fun.
and I guess I see what you're saying there, and Corey, you're absolutely right. What I was getting at is like I think it's okay that most of the things and the innovations that storm people into this community of crypto are based upon them increasing their value, their dollar value, their whatever value they live in value. Because at the end of the day, I think what's being challenged is like, what is value?
It's all not only that, I think you're right there for sure. It's also what intermediaries need to be in place for me as a person trying to gain value to get it. So if you take the music industry or the art industry, it's very rare that someone can make music or art, give it to people, and then they get paid for it without having too many people along the way making sure that they get their fair share, what they consider their fair share. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these systems that are being put in place by Web3, decentralization, blockchain, whatever the hell you want to call it, are automating those people away and taking a much less cut, if any, in the process. Yeah. So now it's more about how much are you willing to learn? And that's the trade-off you're making. If you want to learn about it, you don't need any middlemen whatsoever. You can make 100% profits. If you don't want to do that and you want to delegate some of that learning and expertise to somebody else, they're going to take a little bit. But you're going to know exactly how much it's going to be, and it's going to be much less because you don't have to trust that person to keep making decisions. They're just providing you a technology to do it easier.
Yeah.
The amount of value you retain in what was initially valuable is dependent upon how much you know, right? I think that's basically if I reduce what you distill it down.
I think so.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I think that's really valuable because you get to then spend your time optimizing where you're spending your time and expertise, and then also and where you feel it's not worth your time to do, you then look for quality connections to facilitate whatever you're not doing, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, if I'm going to focus on this is what I'm good at. This is where I'm going to place all my value. It needs X, Y, and Z. I'm going to find somebody who can do that and do that well and build that network of people versus like a monopoly that currently exists. And since there's so much greenfield of opportunity, there's so much value to be gained just by learning or trying to become an expert in something and then like choosing to delegate the rest versus having to delegate the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think that infrastructure will be built very quickly, though. Middlemen will always be here.
Yeah,
Middlemen
for
don't
sure.
go away. Middlemen are valuable.
I think they're just better middlemen. I think it's more clear and transparent and a more open market for middlemen to compete against each other so that they're not screwing over the people who are actually producing things.
Yeah, I agree. That makes
a good middleman provides a need that people actually need and helps people. It's not just skimming off of the top like a lot of middlemen out there, in my opinion.
There's also this other thing. This may be where DeFi starts to live versus like the NFT artist sector, right? And that is wisdom of the crowd and then pooling small amounts into a large pool, right? And so what you're seeing is like the DeFi can maybe be summed up as a bunch of people pooling all their resources together and then collectively voting on how it gets used.
How's the second market? How's the second market for NFTs?
What do you mean? Secondhand?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Like if I bought something,
it's slower.
And then I want to resell it.
Slower.
No, like OpenSea is basically a secondhand market.
What do you mean slower, Jesse?
So like so it depends on, so if it's somebody really popular, let's say it's a collaboration between Beeple and Deadmau5, right? That's like seems to me very popular, would be very popular. There is more speed to how many second hands, like so the secondhand market, once it's initially sold and then resold or flipped, there's a lot more flips that will have versus somebody of like a B celebrity. They won't, their NFT that they create, that asset won't flip as many times.
So it's viable. Just because it's kind of like, Corey, what if you had the opportunity to buy a piece of art that Madonna owned, right? Then there's a high likelihood you could buy that piece of art, store the value in that piece of art, and then later on down the line, know there's going to be a market for somebody who wants to buy something Madonna owned.
I don't know if that makes sense to me.
That's art, though. That's why it makes sense. Like if I took a tour of Jay-Z's house and was like, "Hey Jay, if I buy that piece of art from you right now, would you sign this piece of paper that said that it was hanging in your house and it was yours?" And he'd be
so like, the first-hand market is like almost like a curation for a second-hand market later on down the line.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, it depends.
Like,
what's interesting that you can do with this technology that you couldn't do previously, at least not nearly as easily and trustlessly, is you can build in the incentives in such a way that the content creators still make profits off secondary, tertiary, quaternary exchanges. Right?
Like the 5%, 10%.
That's Artemir, damn it.
Yeah, it's a lot of. There's a couple projects that did this. We interviewed one a while back that did that.
Oh, okay.
And so in the event that someone makes something and then it blows up in a second or other market, that creator doesn't get screwed there, right?
Yeah,
and that's what you want. You want the creators, the people who are making things, to always have a connection to the things that they made, even if they don't own it in some way, shape, or form. So I'm curious to see how those types of markets start to take shape and whether or not they like change people's connection to the things that they're collecting and the artists that make them.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing is there could be like one, if you're an artist now and now blockchain exists and there's a platform, a way for you to put your art or at least proof that you made this piece of art. And so that when it sells, however it sells to whoever it sells to, you as the original artist, you still get paid. That's what I think is really cool. And that's why I keep hoping, Corey, you've heard me talk about it a lot. It's like, I hope there's another renaissance. I really do. I hope this fourth industrial revolution that Forbes and Harvard Business Review keep talking about spawns another renaissance where people are just like completely artistic and getting paid and making a living off of like actually exploring their humanity in ways that they couldn't do before. Because I could make a piece of art and say I sell it for 30,000, cool. I'm the artist. I make 30,000 off my piece of art. But say somebody else who bought it then sells it for like 150,000 for some random reason. I don't know. Well, hey, I could still get a cut off of that because it's on the blockchain and I'm the original creator of it. I think that would be really, really.
There's going to be a lot of shitty art out there if that's the case.
Oh, but there's a lot of shitty art out there from the Baroque era, and people are like, "Oh, look at this because it was made during the Baroque era is awesome." And like, no, that fucking dude standing nude in a pond pissing on a frog. That's whack. Nobody wants that's whack.
I have this goal of mine. I have this goal is to turn one of the houses in my room into like an art room. It's going to be like the guest room, right? It's going to be. Hold on, did I say houses in my room?
Yeah, you did.
My bad. One of the rooms in my house. I got a real bit. Anyway, and one of the rooms in my house to like an art room. It's probably like the guest bedroom, but only fill it with like crappy art, but not like let on that I think it's crappy. Like really like frame it nicely, put pictures, like put like spotlights on it, make it look like I really tried, so that the person who's in the room checking it out has to like look at their significant other and be like, does he know this is terrible? Like,
no,
they're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, and then like 100 years down the road, Corey, they're going to be like, this art was developed during the fourth industrial revolution, the automaton age. And you can see here, I think that triangle is supposed to represent countries. I don't know. Just hashtag well talk. In one of these houses, one of these rooms, there will be art. Oh, man. Well, I think it's gone wild. Should we wrap?
Sure.
Or should we keep going? I mean, there's lots of things we can talk about. We got a lot of topics here.
How long has it been?
It's
not even an hour in.
We didn't talk about Signal, but then again, we don't know anything about it. So.
I know a lot about it.
All right, well, let's talk about it then. Signal.
Do you Dunning-Kruger know a lot about it, or do you know a lot about it?
Well, I read their documentation.
What is Dunning-Kruger?
People who think they know a lot about something. Well, they're too dumb to understand they don't know enough about something. So they think they know a lot when they don't.
It's that there's a curve. There's an early hump, right? Where you...
Oh, they're too dumb. They're not intelligent enough to understand that they don't know enough.
Corey, it has nothing to do with they're dumb or not. It has everything to do with
something to do with their intelligence.
Absolutely does not. It has to do with getting a little sprinkle of information. And like, say I learn a factoid that Alaska is like, the 48th largest territory. I don't know, fucking bullshit fact, right? And then I go, oh, now I know everything there is to know about Alaska, right? That's
a dumb thing to say out loud.
That's Dunning-Kruger, right? It's like like a handful of facts, but then you think you're the expert on it, right?
That's dumb. That position as a concept.
What I'm saying,
dumb.
I'm just saying, it's just it's more of a meme.
Intelligent people don't do the opposite thing. Like, I guess I don't know what the word is for it. But phenomenon for Dunning-Kruger is the imposter syndrome, where
that is the opposite.
You feel as though everyone understands a concept as well as you, even though you're an expert in it, and though you feel like an imposter whenever you try and like impose your knowledge onto a given subject, because you feel as though everyone sees this as obvious as you, and you're not good at it, or you're doing a job that you are uniquely qualified for, but you think everyone is as qualified as it as you are, even though it's not. And
so imposter syndrome has everything to do with you think you are inferior, and in reality, you actually know a shit ton. That's like imposter syndrome. You think you're intellectually inferior, but in fact, you are objectively actually like pretty much superior, above average, if anything.
So it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And so there's an aspect of Dunning-Kruger in that. Maybe this is the critique that people had, or that he said these things, and it was a critique on it, was that people who are of lower intelligence lack the ability to get to the point where they understand that there's more than they can do, so they project themselves as being experts in something they can never be, and you can't argue with them because they don't understand that there's more to it.
So
isn't the x-axis of the Dunning-Kruger just like information though, or like time? Like, what's the x-axis on the
not.
Dunning?
Oh, we're gonna go into whether or not people can be naturally smarter than other people.
Well, no, I'm just curious, like to know if it is intelligence on the x-axis or if it's
I
just
don't know.
time and knowledge
I
on the x-axis.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll pull it up real fast. Curious.
We took a hard turn from Signal.
Yeah, no. So tell me about Signal. Knowledge experience. So like the more you know, the less you
Wait,
feel that
is
you're
the average of these two
competent.
the Dunning imposter or an imposter?
It's normal everyday life. It's the
Okay.
average.
It's like, I don't
Can
know.
you have the Dunning
Normal
Kruger
existence.
effect when talking about Dunning Kruger? Oh,
We just probably did.
Bird.
we just probably did. Yeah.
Bird. That was a comment from the crowd. A comment from Mr. Andy Meows saying, "Can you have the Dunning Kruger effect?" When talking about-
Anyway, let's
anyway,
talk about Signal.
so Signal is everyone's favorite new fashion messaging app. That's what I'm going to start calling them because I swear I moved to a messaging app and then 3 years later, everyone on Facebook starts joining it and I get all these random notifications like, hey, this person's on Signal, or hey, this person's on WhatsApp, or hey, this person's on WeChat, or hey, they're fashion messenger apps. And then when they hit mass stream, it's like, Becky's talking with Jennifer and they're out getting a white mocha latte at Starbucks with maybe one of those little, they call them cookies, but they're really disgusting. Biscotti, terrible. And Jennifer's like, hey, I'm on this new messaging app. You should totes join it with me. You should totes. And it's Signal.
Where you
this
going
time
with
it's Signal. I'm saying that what I'm saying is every 3 years people find a new messenger app.
Would you like to know why people
because
like
it's-
Signal?
I would like to know
fashionable.
why, Corey. Can you?
I know
Because it's
why.
fashionable.
Oh
Because it's
God!
fashionable.
Right.
Is one of them. Am I right?
Well,
What are the objective?
why is it
improvements?
fashionable?
Yeah.
Because now it's claiming to be the one where you have the most security. Like, people aren't.
Why is it claiming that?
Because it is that. It's for the most part. I mean,
Yes, because it is.
people can't, like, the government doesn't know what you're saying when you're
All
talking.
right, here's why. So I think they're open whisper systems. I believe that's the name of the underlying kind of open source cryptography that was out. They released a protocol for encrypting messages back and forth, and they made it open, right? So anyone can see exactly how it works. Anyone can use it. This is why, and they built a messenger app based on this encryption scheme, and this improved tremendously the ease of use and security of sending messages back and forth between individuals and groups. So that means that when I talk to somebody, I know that I'm only talking to that person, and in the possibility that someone intercepts the messages when they're being passed along the internet tubes to that person, I know the amount that can be compromised is incredibly small, and it's also incredibly difficult. So the security of talking online to someone else was drastically improved by this protocol. It's X3DH and double ratchet, right? So it's a whisper protocol, right? And they made it freely available to everybody. And so they made an application for this, and they're nonprofit. And so ostensibly the goals of them building this application is not to appease stakeholders, it's to make a good messaging app.
Who was it made
And
by?
Open Whisper Systems.
Oh, that's the company?
The Signal. I don't know what the name of the not-for-profit is, but you can look at Open. So Status uses this. Like we have implemented this in a decentralized context. That's why I know so much about it. I know exactly how it works. I know why it's useful. All these things. And what you saw after that was severe invasions of privacy based on centralized messaging apps reading and taking and censoring various messages, or using that data to then serve ads to those people when they thought they were in private conversations. And they thought that was wrong, so they built a very good encryption scheme for giving you much, much, much higher confidence that who you're talking to is who they say they are, and no one else can listen. And then because they made it open, everyone else claimed to do the same thing. So WhatsApp implemented the same thing. Facebook said they did. A lot of the other messaging apps basically say they implemented these things so that you have end-to-end encrypted chat. So now when you see end-to-end encrypted chat in a chat messenger, it's because Signal. And they've also done a lot for other encryption for digital messaging. So what they did, which is the news occurring to blockchain, was they recently announced, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, that they have integrated a cryptocurrency. And they chose one called Mobilecoin, which is brand new. The TL, so I spent yesterday basically reading their technical documentation onto how this cryptocurrency works. And in a sense, it's a version of Monero. Crypto Note is the protocol that uses things like range proofs and Schnorr signatures, but uses the Stellar consensus protocol inside of Intel SGX enclaves. So it's not a proof of stake. It's not a proof of work. It is I guess you can call it like a quorum consensus. And they did that so that it could be lightweight and private. So the whole goal is that it works on mobiles, works on mobile platforms, mobile phones. It's fast in order to confirm finality of a given transaction. It's private. People who are validating these transactions are looking at the network, can't see who's sending what to whom. They said,
sounds legitimate.
There's a claim that Moxie, who was a part of the development of Mobilecoin, Moxie Marlin Spike is the owner or CEO or whatever of Signal. He was a early advisor with Mobilecoin and helped, I guess, advise on the development of the cryptography of how this works. And let me put it to you: the cryptography is legit. Like the privacy technology has been used for a while, and the way in which they chose to do it is all legit, as far as I can tell. And I read all the documents. I'm not a cryptography expert, but I'm good enough to know that like these things are real. Now, what I don't like is I don't necessarily like the choice for the consensus protocol on SGX on Intel enclaves, but whatever.
So everybody who's running Signal is a node on Mobilecoin's network.
No, absolutely not. So you need specialized hardware in order to be a validator. That's what the Intel SGX enclaves are. Now, a lot of things already have this type of stuff, but I'm not.
SGS mean? Do you know?
SGX, secure something execution. Forget. Let me look it up real quick off the top of my head. I didn't do it yesterday. Software guard extension. So basically, it's a separate piece of hardware on a device that the outside hardware can't see inside of. So it can pass stuff into it. It's a secure enclave for
secure transaction environment. This is something they talked about at DevCon years ago.
It is. It's Intel's implementation of that. And so
more secure transaction environment.
We'll see how it goes. It's just a cryptocurrency. Because it's a crypto note system, I guess there's potential extension onto things like multisigs and some form of constrained smart contracts, but I don't see that coming in the near future. And the choice for something brand new like this is puzzling, especially since Moxie was a part of it. I'm skeptical to the claim that he doesn't own any.
You got big fat.
Because I would like to see a proof of that, which I'm not sure you can do. Right? I'm not sure you can do that because only thing that you can see is the initial distribution. Because the first block is open, it's unsigned, so you can see that how many coins are created, and everything else after that you can't see.
Is that bad?
Well, it's good for privacy. It's really bad for understanding what the distribution is. It's impossible to understand who has what.
But is that important? Is it important to understand who has what?
How do you get Mobilecoin?
Rug pull?
Like,
I don't know.
Earn it? Do you earn it? Do you mine it? Do you?
No clue. It's only available in the EU, I believe, because of regulations. So this is just yesterday. I don't know.
Moxie got a bag, Jessie. Moxie got
yeah.
himself a bag.
I just want there to be one app that
Mhm.
is like super popular that
See
everybody
that
can
whale?
use.
That whale's named Moxie. Right there. Look, let me tell you, Jesse. That's never gonna be it.
Dude, I have so many communication apps on my phone. I don't even know
Don't even want to know.
I don't
Do
even
you
know
know
credentials
why?
to all of them
Do you know why, bro? Do you know why? This is
because we
gonna sound
can't
so
pick up a phone
stupid.
and call people
No,
anymore.
because do you remember
What are you,
when
80 years old?
No, yeah. Did you say phone?
I
Get
know,
outta here.
right? Oh, I'm
Get out
so
of here,
old.
grandpa.
Wait, text messaging and you're still like a boomer?
You better text me. So
Oh man.
you remember when you were kids, like young kids? No, I'll tell you exactly why. If you've read the book Lord of the Flies, you know why.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
I don't remember the book Lord of the Flies.
Basically,
If
Lord
I
of the
ever.
Flies,
Lord of the Fries.
I have the book actually. I don't remember reading
It's a
it
great book. I was forced to read it and ended up liking it. Thank you, English teacher, for
Okay.
being persistent with me, who was being hard headed.
This is-
Basically, a bunch of kids get left on an island and with no parents, and within a very short period of time, they start developing factions and like governance and all this stuff.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, clicks are clicks are clicks, and that's why there's never going to be one messaging app to rule them all, because people are going to be like, come join my little clique. I use this messaging app, or I'm on that messaging app. So there's always going to be a new messaging app, and there's always going to be a clique of people that go to it. Like right now, if Kim Kardashian and her sleuths were using some sort of messaging app that nobody else had access to, and then all of a sudden more people had access to it, they'd be fucking just climbing the walls to try to push that button and download that app because they'd be part of that clique.
That's part of
Right.
it, but that's not the only motivation for using different things.
I didn't say it was the only motivation. I said it's a large motivator, though, because as soon as everybody gets on Signal, 3 years from now, there's going to be another app.
So
And that app's
think
going to
about
be
Signal.
status, baby. No, I'm
Yeah,
playing.
but the thing about Signal that I kind of like is that, and I hope they keep it this way, is that they've designed it in such a way, because they aren't basically held by the balls by their stakeholders, and like a traditional tech company, designed in such a way that they're not trying to optimize for your attention. In fact, they're trying to do the opposite. They want you to use Signal for only the amount of time it takes you to do what you need to do in Signal and nothing more. Whereas every other piece of tech company almost out there is designed to keep you in their application for as long as possible, doing whatever, who cares? God knows what. They don't give a shit. If they can keep you in the application, then they're winning. And that is a terrible societal consequence.
Mm-hmm.
I skimmed an article regarding like how Signal is used, I guess, practically, and
It's
like, the
text
features. Yeah. So
That's
it's
it.
like that seems like I use Discord, right? Discord for me does like everything I need.
Well, it does
communication
voice
app to
and
do.
video chat. I mean,
It does. I can upload 100 megabyte files, like multiple, right? So it can store files.
No, I'm talking about you can do that. You can do it on Signal. You can do voice and video on Signal.
Like how much? I guess like
As much
there's
as
also bot integration that Discord does very well. There's also roles.
Discord
There
was
are-
built for something differently. Discord was built for something bit different.
I like communication apps that are built for community and
I
some
agree.
level of transparency. And so like
I
I like the features of anonymity that Signal provides, but like I just want this one app. Just
Still need a
like,
phone
I wish-
number.
Yeah, I know.
That pisses me off so bad. You still need a phone number to sign up, which is not something that's just dumb. But I get why they did it. It was useful for bootstrapping a user base, and they say they're moving away from it. These phone numbers are so terrible as an identifier.
Yeah, I agree. But it's
We'll
pretty
see
good.
how it goes.
just wanna
So
know
that's
how
big
big-
news.
I want to know
Yes.
how big Moxie's
Pretty
bag is. That's what I want to know.
Fat.
Moxie, I
Fat,
need to have
huge.
a conversation with you.
Of course, like huge.
Tells me it's not. I'm going to tell him he's a liar.
Yeah.
Ask me how big my status bag is. It's big. I work for status. I am incentivized to have a big status bag.
Yeah.
I believe in the system.
It's
Why
hefty.
would I not have it? Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like
Makes
it's like
sense.
working for Microsoft, and when they're like, "Yeah, you want these stock options?" You're like, "You know what? I'll pass." I will pass on those
It's
stock
just like
options.
Charlie Lee got rid of his
Sure.
Litecoin because he wanted to be
Yeah.
better for the community.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
Moxie got a big ass bag, point blank, period. Especially with a name like Moxie, because they're gonna be like, man, this is some Moxie like shit you doing out here. Moxie be like, yeah, I got a big ass bag of Mobilecoin out here in these streets. You know,
I'm waiting for that proof. We'll see how it goes.
Oh man.
yeah. The USS Moxie's bag is gonna be the name of his yacht. That's
It's a good way to wrap this up.
anyways.
Wrap this giant episode in the bag that Moxie has.
Oh, I only got 30 seconds to do this. Dang, you put so much pressure on me, Alicia. Hold up, I need another timer. All right, so let's do some shout outs, y'all. Well, first we're gonna say some stuff. You can become a patron if you like. If you become a patron, you get perks, all kinds of perks. Go read them. Go read the perks. Here's one thing we're doing. We're gonna give away 100 bags of Flamin' Hot Cheetos, family size Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
One.
What are you talking
Hold
about?
on.
One person.
To one person, right?
One person.
We're gonna give away. Here we go. I was gonna put that up there. I was got a big ass bag. So we're gonna give away 100 bags of family size, not party size. You greedy mofo. Family size bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos to one subscriber of the YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're starting low. I know you go to some YouTube channels and they're like, "Hey guys, we make it to 5 million subscribers. We're gonna buy you 3 houses." Like, no, we're not at that point. We're not even trying to be at that point. All right, we just want 1,000 hardcore subscribers. So share this with somebody you know that's gonna listen to an awesome crypto show, and you know ours is awesome because you're listening to it now. All right, and then one in those 999 because Wayne has already recused himself from winning.
Can I participate?
I don't
know.
No, damn it.
So it's actually like 1 in 900.
You should definitely subscribe though.
90, yeah. Like 1 in 990 of you subscribers is going to get an opportunity to win 100 bags of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Know what you're thinking? I don't need 100 bags of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Well, you're wrong.
Send one to me.
Yeah, you're wrong. And Jessie likes to cook, so you can smash them up and like dip.
Also, we don't care. You're getting them.
Yeah. Like, damn, I don't even like Cheetos.
That's why it's funny.
You signed up for this. You
I
know
hope
what
Ken
you're
gets
getting
it.
yourself into. All
I
right.
hope Ken can get it.
If you're
It's like
listening,
a hot potato, right? It's gonna be great.
join the Slack. Also, you can
That-
go to the Bitcoin podcast.
That transparent background didn't work.
and what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Super transparent.
Super
Don't
trans-
you see the tiles? I mean, it's just transparent.
Yeah, like
And yeah. They got brought in like as a JPEG or just some non-transparent image type.
you can join the Slack on the bitcoinpodcast.com. Join the Slack. You can also do all the things from that website. You can dive into our old libraries. We kind of archived our other podcasts, but I think that we should not. Right?
I mean, you still find them on the website.
No, you can't. It just shows the Bitcoin podcast and hashing it out.
Google it.
Yeah, you gotta Google it. But what kind of steps are those? What kind of
The search inside of the thing work. I'll fix it. Whatever. You can find it on the
user
website.
story is that?
I'll
You
fix
gotta-
it. It's good.
You can find it, but you got to go the special route.
I'll figure it out.
Anyways, we got a lot of shows on there. If on iTunes, right? You can give us 5 stars, and we're very serious about this. I've saved my curse words this episode, so I can say this one thing. If you are thinking about giving us a 4-star review, you can go fuck yourself. Okay? We want 5-star reviews. All right? 5. Not 4, 5. All right.
I can't wait for the reviews to come in.
We're gonna get like 1-star reviews. It's just,
I hope
Shout
they're
out
all
to-
fours.
they're just gonna troll us.
Go screw
Yeah,
yourself.
we get all straight 4s. Shout out to that is Lori Harvey. You're doing your thing, girl. Not many people can rock half a shirt like you, like that, but you're doing it. It's not even a crop top; it's a shoulder crop. Shout out to old wide face Zoe doing
Oh,
your
her face is
thing.
fixed.
Oh, wide smile. It's still pretty
That was a
wide.
wide smile.
It's still a pretty wide smile, even though
That's a
right
naturally
now-
wild smile, though.
Yeah, it's good. She's a very pretty lady. Shout out to Doja Cat. Good looking on you, girl. That red hair is fierce and shit. Good looking at you. Michael B. Jordan. Shout out. The only reason we shout out you, homie, is because you date Lori Harvey, which is quite an accomplishment for you. Even though you are a world-renowned icon. Michelle Obama. You doing it, girl. Look at that smile. Look at that smile, Jay. You see that smile?
It's a good smile.
It's first lady right there. All right. Shout out to
Who's she?
how dare you? That's Gabrielle Union, my friend. Married
that
to Sir Dwayne Wade.
Oh,
and
okay.
also premiere actress. She played Sid in Bad Boys 2 and also played Sid in the not well-known television series spinoff of the Bad Boys franchise.
Mhm.
Damn,
What
what's
was
the name
it?
of that show?
What was it called? You know, you can't stop the flow here. You got to keep it going. It makes it look
what's
better.
the name of the show? I forgot the name of the show. That is, let me get this right,
Who is that?
Alicia. That is Jasmine Tukes.
I'm sorry for all the people who are listening to us and not watching.
Yeah, you should subscribe to the YouTube, you non-watching listener. Shout out to Jasmine Tukes. Shout out to Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of people uncomfortable the past couple weeks, but it's what it is. He's doing his thing. Horses in the back.
Just in the back.
Shout out to Lupita Nyong'o.
You're like looking for
practice this
validation.
week?
He said it right.
Lupita Nyong'o.
We don't know.
I think I got that. Y'all looked at me like, why are you asking me for help?
5 star.
Look at that.
Hey.
It's a 5-star review right there. We were talking about do more of that. We need more of that.
Wait.
Yeah, we need more of that down there on the iTunes. And Kat Graham, shout out to you, girl. You're doing your thing. Look at that outfit. You see what's going on there? That's confidence. All right, guys. That's all.
Shout out section has gotten really long.
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate this either, but I love it. I love every minute of it. Play the outro.